Hello everyone. In the last video I looked at how to set up WSJT-X for EME operation. In this video I'm going to first of all look at how you go about finding someone to have a QSO with on 70 SEMS, and I'll also run through some decodes of a couple of QSOs that I had recently. So you're not going to have an EME QSO just by randomly tuning your radio around, and as I mentioned in the last video, just tuning the dial on its own, you're going to lose your Doppler tracking anyway if you've already set constant frequency on Moon. So we have a couple of chat rooms we can use, and the one that's normally used on 70 SEMS and above is HB9Q EME Logger. So you have to register for this. Simple process: name, call sign, few details about your equipment, etc. And after that you can log in. And here we have the list of stations that are already that are actually on at the moment. You can highlight. If I click there in this box here, any messages I write will be highlighted to me. And if I was to click on say Peter OK1IN, then his messages will be highlighted as well, which is very useful when you're having a QSO or a chat with somebody. If you want to message someone, you can either go to the call sign box here and enter their call sign and then write a message which will be highlighted for them, or you can click on the @ symbol here, and again that will highlight that particular person, and you can send them a message. CQ calls are made very easy. You just put in your frequency here, whether you're calling first or second period, and here in Europe we generally call first period, and you follow that with the mode that you're going to be using, and for most people that's going to be Q65-60B, 1500 Hertz constant frequency on Moon. So that's very useful and pretty much essential for making a QSO on EME. So how do you know if any of these people have got the Moon visible to you? Well, the Europeans aren't too difficult to work out. Normally, if here in the UK, if I can see the Moon, then the chances are someone in Europe can for most of the while. But what about this chap in Japan, Katsu? Let's have a look. JR7PJS. So if I click on his call sign, it will show me where he is. He's in QM07AJ. So what I'm going to do is put his call sign into here, into the DX call box. So that's JR7PJS. Is he in my call 3.text? I don't think he is. Let's click. No, he isn't. I'll not go into that today, but I might make that the subject of yet another video, the call 3.text file. So I'm going to add his locator there and remind myself of it, QM07AJ. So he is in QM07AJ, and I can now go to the astronomical data, and I can see that for him the Moon's at 267.8 degrees azimuth, 53.1 degrees elevation, so the Moon is visible to him as well, and he's got only 8 Hertz of Doppler. So that's one way of doing it. Another useful way, and I've done this earlier, a little bit of self-advertising. This is a website that I actually got AI to write it for me because I can't code at all. I'll put the link in the description of the video, and this shows both the blue line is the Moon elevation for myself, the green one is for the Japanese station. And you can see at the moment that at this particular time, 1650, that there we go. You can see our azimuth and elevation for each station, with a little bit of other information as well. This isn't meant to be a super duper piece of software or anything like that. There is some very useful software around particularly for Windows computers that, again, I'll put a link in the description. Certainly with the DX with the astronomical data and something like this, there's a couple of websites like this around. You'll be able to see if the Moon is visible to both of you. So it's pretty essential to use the HB9Q EME Logger for 70 SEMS and above EME. So I'm now going to take a look at a couple of QSOs I had a few days ago. The first one was with Henry DF6LH, so I'm going to type his call sign into WSJT-X into the DX call box, and if I click look up, there, he's there. Now this has two advantages. By doing this, WSJT-X knows who you are looking for. So if you've made a sked with somebody and you put their call sign and locator in, it knows who you are looking for, and it can use averaging to decode that call sign. So basically it works rather similarly to someone listening to a CW beacon and picking out one or two letters or numbers of the call sign of that beacon with every transmission, and you build up the call sign in sequence by listening over several periods, and Q65 is capable of doing that, and it's a really useful facility, as you'll be able to see when we come on to the QSO after this one. So I had this QSO a few days ago. So if I go to File, Open, and go to the places where my files are saved, and click on the first file, click on Open, and there is my first decode from Henry from DF6LH. He was -25, and you can see the DT figure here, which is the round trip the signal is taking to go to the moon and back, and it also shows in the waterfall here. And you can just about see, it's quite difficult. I won't make any adjustments to the waterfall gain at the moment because it often messes things up while you're doing it. So I'll leave that, but you can just about see the sync line here for the base frequency. And again here you can see this on the spectrum. Now I am going to reduce the spectrum gain to make that a little bit cleaner, and there, that makes that sync line so much more clearer. And one small thing here while we're on the waterfall, these bars that you can add, don't use them on EME. I mean, look at that, it almost covers the sync line. You cannot see that sync line now because the bars are covering it. They may be very pretty on FT8, but they're not really of any value on Q65 and for EME work. So you can see there is a very weak sync line there, and you can see that some of these pixels, they look brighter. There is a brightness there, and with practice you can see a signal, and you'll see them even when you don't decode them. So I'll go to the next decode, and Henry gave me he gave me -25, and I received that one at -28. And again you can see the sync line there, and it shows again on the waterfall on the spectrum gain. And I had a final decode from him with his 73 call, -26. This one, the sync line isn't quite so visible, but there's certainly a patch here where it's much more visible. And this is the sort of thing you're looking for when you're getting close to a decode but don't quite get one, which can happen. And indeed that is now going to happen because I've run these files before, of course, with my next QSO. Now the next QSO I'm going to have is with Carsten, OZ9AAR. Now I didn't know at the time that Carsten was the person calling me, so I'm going to erase those for now, and we'll take a look at what I received from Carsten. So I'm going to open Carsten's first transmission, 2109. And it doesn't decode. You can see a good sync line there. You could even see some brightness in the pixels. You can see that there's something there. There's definitely a signal there, and I've got a good DT, 2.63 seconds, but it didn't decode. So now let's see what happens when I put Carsten's call sign into WSJT-X. And I use OZ9AAR as a sort of a reference signal. If I can hear and work Carsten, I know the conditions are quite good from my point of view. So I'm now going to replay that file, and that's at 2109. Now just doing that, just putting that in this call, the DX call and grid, can give you a 2 to 3 dB advantage on WSJT-X. So let's go to that 2109 decode again, and this time it decodes at -31. The same file, they're both 2109 decodes, but the second one was the only one that decoded because I put Carsten's call sign and locator into these boxes here. So that shows you what Q65 can do. And if you ever, rather than random CQs, if you know who your QSO partner is going to be, put in their call sign and locator. And one final thing to do as well, which I didn't do there actually, is press this button, clear average. So averaging builds up over time, and you can see the number of times, the number of periods since I last cleared the average. And what can happen if that really builds up to a high figure like 70 or 80 is you can get, I think the best way to describe it is digital noise that will mask a decode. So click on clear average and that disappears. So do that before every new QSO. Click on clear average. I should have done it before I started this one and I forgot. So okay, so I've had my first, this one originally, remember, I didn't receive. So Carsten calls me again and that receives at -26. And the rest of the QSO, he got a little bit stronger and I received at -23. But if I go back again and take his call sign out once more and replay the original QSO again, and I'll clear that, and although it's 0, I'll clear the average. And remember that was a -26 the second time on at 2111. Oh, yeah, 2111 hours. So we'll go back to the 2109, doesn't decode. And now this time, the second one that does decode isn't -26, it's -28. So again, that's 2 dB difference. And again, it makes all that difference putting in the call sign. Once again, let's go back, OZ9AAR, and add his locator. I'll replay that one more time. 2111, and that opens now at -26. So that's making all that difference. That's 2 dB difference. That, and when you're talking at small stations like I'm operating, that's the difference between having a QSO and not having a QSO. And again, the rest of them were -23. So there's how to look for a QSO on 70 SEMS. And you can see a couple of decodes, a couple of QSOs with the decodes showing on the waterfall. So I hope you found that helpful. Please let me know, and I'll hopefully do some more videos soon.